Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're diving into the story of an absolutely iconic guitar. But what's so cool about this one is that it wasn't born in some master luthier's workshop. Nope. It all started with a passion for a classic American hot rod. This is the story of Jeff Beck's Stratocaster. So, how in the world does a 1932 Ford Deuce Coupe, a classic piece of American muscle? Well, the answer really begins with the man himself, the guitar virtuoso Jeff Beck, and his deep, deep love for the very car that was made famous in the movie American Graffiti. As you're about to see, that car, that's the key to this whole thing. All right, so our story really kicks off back in the mid-'80s, at this party in London that, believe it or not, would set this entire story in motion completely by chance. Okay, so picture this. It's a Hilton hotel. Fender's head of artist relations, a guy named John Hill, has put together this event to celebrate the brand's history in the UK. But he had a much bigger plan up his sleeve. He wanted to relaunch and totally rebrand Fender for a whole new generation. I mean, can you even imagine the sheer star power packed into that one room? Hill brought together what he called the Brit Pack of guitar legends. And this wasn't just some casual get-together. This was the very first time Fender officially pitched the idea of a signature series to these giants of the guitar world. So that meeting definitely planted a seed, because it was only a few months later that Jeff Beck reached out to Fender with a very specific and kind of unusual request. Beck was about to head out on tour, and he wanted a new Stratocaster, but he wanted one with a neck that had some serious heft to it. Something huge, as he put it. Now, John Hill heard this, and knowing about Beck's obsession with his hot rod, he had this light bulb moment. He decided to paint it a custom color he called Graffiti Yellow to match the car. So you see, the guitar's early life was anything but simple. This wasn't some perfectly designed instrument right out of the gate. In fact, Beck fell so hard for the raw, unfinished prototype that he just insisted on taking it on tour with him immediately. It pretty much became a work in progress, constantly being tweaked and modified on the road. And that one-off prototype, well, it quickly became more than just a guitar. It turned into a kind of laboratory for solving one of the biggest headaches for Stratocaster players everywhere. The biggest challenge was trying to fix a problem that had frustrated guitarists for decades, keeping the darn thing in tune, especially with someone like Jeff Beck, who was just merciless with his whammy bar. The old vintage hardware just couldn't keep up. So Fender started experimenting, swapping in all this cutting-edge stuff. You had the Wilkinson roller nut, which lets the strings just glide over these tiny little bearings so they don't catch and go out of tune. And then you have the Spurzl locking tuners, which literally clamp the strings down at the headstock. It was all about making it rock-solid stable. And really, Beck himself summed it up perfectly. The whole goal was to create something that had the heart and soul of a classic Strat, but with modern performance you could actually rely on. But there was still one final piece to the puzzle, and it came a bit later. After Beck's legendary album Guitar Shop, he found that these new lace sensor pickups were the only things that could really replicate his insane harmonic techniques in a live setting. You see, they have very little magnetic pull on the strings, which was absolutely perfect for his style, and that is what got him excited about the Signature project all over again. So, with Beck fully back on board and excited, the project was on again. Fender luthier J.W. Black was now handed the final challenge. How do you take this beloved, one-of-a-kind experiment and turn it into a guitar that we can actually build for everybody? But getting to the finish line had a few interesting twists. Beck, who was famously a very humble guy, at first absolutely refused to have his name on the guitar. Can you believe that? He eventually gave in, and after a few more prototypes in some new colors, the official Jeff Beck Stratocaster was finally ready for the world. But here's the kicker, and I find this absolutely hilarious. When the very first series was released, that iconic Graffiti Yellow color, the color that started this entire project, wasn't even one of the options. But the story doesn't just end there in 1991. Oh no, not by a long shot. Just like the artist himself, this guitar never, ever stopped evolving. And you can really see that evolution right here. That first series back in 91, it had that super thick 50s neck and the lace sensor pickups we just talked about. But fast forward to 2001, and the model got a big update, with a thinner, more modern C-shaped neck and Fender's new noiseless pickups. A few years after that, the custom shop version refined that formula even more. So from that one-off, raw, unfinished prototype that got thrown on a tour bus, the guitar evolved into a cornerstone of the entire Fender lineup. It's really a testament to what happens when you have a perfect partnership between an innovative artist and a legendary builder. So, whatever happened to that original Graffiti Yellow prototype? The one that started it all? Well, in May of 2023, it was sold at auction for this incredible amount, a price that just goes to show you its unique place in the history of the electric guitar. The journey of this one guitar really proves that a legendary instrument is almost never just one thing. It's this perfect fusion of an uncompromising artist, brilliant engineering, and a story that starts in the most unexpected place imaginable, like a love for a 1932 hot rod. It's that unique combination, the story behind the object, that really makes something truly, truly iconic.